Funding for non-profit organizations is drying up, with many having to close their doors. This is leaving many of the most vulnerable people in our communities with no help or support. One of the organizations facing closure is Rare Diseases of SA. It helps patients get access to prohibitively expensive health care. To discuss this, we're joined by the CEO of Rare Diseases of SA, Kelly du Plessis. Kelly, good morning, and thank you very much for your time. When I started the program this morning, I referred to the fact that the NPO sector in the country is really in trouble. And we saw a letter in which you were also a signatory, an open letter to the president that you sent out late last month, appealing for help. Have your cries and the cries of your colleagues in the NPO sector been heard? Have they been responded to, your cries for help?
Unfortunately, Dan, they haven't at this point. We have received notification that our open letter to the presidency has been duly received, but there has been very limited action in terms of the contents of that letter. And once again, this isn't, as the NPO sector, we're not merely screaming for donations. It's not only fiscal, financial support. There's various other suggestions and recommendations that were put forward in that letter that we feel could really improve the sector and the sustainability of the sector as a whole. And that includes things like reduced taxes for employees working for the NGO sector, increasing the Section 18A percentage that donors can claim to encourage an enhanced level of donor support, and mandating CSI initiatives across businesses in South Africa. So it's not us just looking to government for a handout. That would be nice, but we're also looking for sustainable solutions for the sector as a whole.
Yeah, what's a little bit puzzling for me, and maybe one might have to put it to the presidency. In his State of the Nation address for 2020, President Ramaphosa in Parliament highlighted the important, the vital, critical role that the NPO sector plays in society. But then when he came up with the COVID-19 relief financial packages, he completely ignored the NPO sector. How did that make you and your colleagues feel?
To say disappointed, I think, would be an understatement, knowing that we are essentially the heartbeat of this country and that we have millions of employees on the ground working on a daily basis outside of just this particular healthcare crisis to really improve the lives of South African citizens. To then be left out of any form of fiscal support was disappointing, to say the least. We know, and this has been a conversation that we've had through the social summit and the social compact that was in development. We are saying that we can provide services to government. We can be considered preferred services suppliers. We are on the ground doing the work already. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. So for us to have simply been left out of not only the fiscal support, but also just any form of recognition to the sector has really been disheartening for us.
Yeah, I think it would be disastrous if we were to lose this sector. I mean, you've got about 230,000 registered NGOs, non-profit organizations with the Department of Social Development. And if, as you said in your open letter, you consider that they would employ an average of 4 people, close to 1 million jobs are at stake here.
That is correct, and that's essentially more than the mining sector, and yet the mining sector has been given fiscal support. So why is it that we haven't? A war room has been set up for textiles, trade and industry, mining, with government, and that's all we're asking for. All we're asking for is the lines of communication to be opened, for us to be able to engage openly with the Department of Social Development as well as the presidency on the issues being faced on the ground, and for us to be able to work together to the benefit of our citizens.
Now, Kelly, the Minister of Social Development, Lindiwe Zulu, have you engaged with her after this open letter? I mean, we know the fact that in South Africa, millions of people rely on support from the NPO sector. Millions of our underprivileged and disadvantaged and disenfranchised people on the ground rely on that. Has the ministry at all responded to you in any way or reached out to you?
Sadly not. We are aware that there has been engagements in the portfolio committees, etc., on the contents of our letter, but as authors of that letter, there has been no formal response to us. And really, that in itself is an indication of from our perspective of simply how unprioritized we are as a sector. As the Minister, we are appealing to Minister Zulu to please, make contact with us. This is not a time to be pointing fingers. This is not us singling them out as a government unit. We are simply saying that there are issues on the ground, they need to be addressed, and we as the NPO sector are willing to do what is necessary to help our citizens, and we need government support to be able to do that.
Yeah, and you've said you're not coming in with a begging bowl, just asking for cash. You've made certain suggestions, and hopefully sooner than later somebody will respond and assist. And anybody else hearing your plea now, maybe they can put up their hand and say, let's create a fund of sorts, because even the private sector might be able to play a part here and help you. Very briefly, would you agree with that?
Yes, I think in closing, I think that is the one thing I'd like to stress. As businesses, be it big or small, over the years, you have invested millions collectively into the sector. All that investment will be lost if we lose it now. So now is the time more than ever to really get in touch with the organizations and the community engagements that you work on and that you have supported over the years, and show your support now more than ever.
Kelly du Plessis, CEO of Rare Diseases South Africa, good luck to you and your colleagues in the non-profit sector. Hopefully you will get that much needed assistance to survive.